what kind of things would they do together?
They would do a lot together. For a long time, my grandfather had a camping trip, and Papa T frequented the camping trip. He liked that. Dad and Papa T would go to Carolina sporting events together, play golf together.
And did you spend a lot of time with your dad and your grandfather, Papa T?
Yes, sir.
You play golf with him?
Yes, sir.
We'll get to that a little bit. And let's talk about your dad's side of the family. Was it a close-knit family?
Yes, sir.
And your grandfather, your dad's father, his name was what?
Handsome.
Handsome. And that was a nickname, I think?
Yes, sir. It's what grandchildren called him.
Everybody?
Well, it started as grandchildren called him, and then all of our friends started calling him that.
But that was Randolph Murdaugh?
Yes, sir.
And then your grandmother's name, Libby?
Yes, sir.
And they live close by, is that correct?
That's right.
Where do they live?
Almeda.
And in relation to, I guess, Hampton, where's Almeda?
So straight down 278, like you're going to Yemassee.
Okay. And how far away is it from, say, the law office of PMPED to your grandparents' house?
Right.
Roughly how far is that?
10 minutes.
Okay. And how far of a drive would it have been from your house in Hampton?
I mean, roughly the same.
Right. And you know roughly how far of a drive it would have been from the house in Moselle?
Probably more like 20. 25 maybe.
And did you and your mom and your dad and your brother Paul spend a lot of time with the Murdaugh side of the family?
Yes, sir.
And what would y'all do together?
Similar stuff, obviously gathering during the holidays, various things like that. We would take trips with that side of the family as well. You know, get out everybody, rent a big house, you know, meet up on the water on the weekends. Just a lot of stuff going on with that side of the family as well.
And so I guess let's go back and, well, let's identify on your dad's side of the family. Did your dad have brothers and sisters?
Yes, sir.
Who are they?
John Marvin, Randy, and Lynn.
Okay. And then John Marvin, Randy, and Lynn had children, did they?
Yes, sir.
So he had a lot of cousins?
Yes, sir.
And families would get together, those cousins and aunts and uncles?
That's right.
Okay. And was there property down on Chichessie that y'all would spend time at?
Yes, sir. That was the family river house, Chichessie.
And where is that located?
So it's located in Okatee, Waters Avenue, off the Chichessie River.
Right.
It's pretty desolate.
The in the spring, in May and June of 2021, what was your grandfather Handsome's health condition as you knew it?
Not good. He wasn't in good health.
What do you understand his health problems to be?
I understand he had cancer, and I understood that, you know, he was having a pretty big battle with it.
And what was your grandmother? What'd you call your grandmother?
M. Yes, sir.
What health issues did she have in May and June of 2021?
She has Alzheimer's.
Okay. And would your dad frequently check on Handsome and M?
Yes, sir.
Would you go with your dad to check on Handsome and M?
I would occasionally go with them too. Yes, sir.
Okay. And what times of day would you go with your dad to check on your grandparents?
It could have been any time. Went over at lunch a lot of times. Went over in the evenings a lot. Just no real set schedule. Just kind of mosey on over there.
When would your mother go with your dad?
She would, not regularly, but she went.
Would Paul stop in and check on your grandparents?
Yes, sir.
Was that fairly regularly for something Paul to do?
Yeah, Paul would do it regularly as well.
When you would go with your dad in the evenings, and maybe it's not limited to the evenings, where would you park when you go visit your grandparents?
For the most part, just like an ordinary afternoon visit, park in, the garage, the carport. But if we went over a little bit later, then we would pull around to the back side of the house and be able to enter through the back door.
Okay. And what's at the back side of the house?
So when you walk in the back side, it's like we call it a sunroom, but it's, a dining table. It's got a TV in there. And then that is right next to the kitchen. And then if you're in the kitchen and you go to the right, then that's where my grandparents' room is.
Okay. Doug, if you could pull up page 38 from State's Exhibit 524, please. That's in evidence.
It's 540 seconds.
24, I believe it is. Page 38.
Correct?
Yes. And that's page 38. So Buster, this is from State's Exhibit 524, which is in evidence, which is the GPS data off the OnStar provided from General Motors. And can you see that?
Yes, sir.
Can you tell us what's that house?
So that's my grandparents' house at Alameda.
All right. And these dots in the back, and I'm going to point to this line of dots just right next to the circle that Doug drew. Do you see them? They seem to be connected right here on the far right.
Yes, sir.
Where is that on the property?
So that's right off the back corner of the house.
Is that a place where you'd normally park to go in the back of the house?
Yes, sir. That is where
Have you parked there yourself?
I have.
Have you seen other family members park there?
I have.
Is that a customary place to park when you go in the back door where the kitchen sunroom is?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm going to show you some photos, which are exhibits 130 to 136. And I want to ask you if you can just identify them. Don't show them to the jury, but just tell us what those photographs are of.
So these photos are of the area we're talking about, off the back corner of the house at Alameda.
All right. Your Honor, this time I move defendant's exhibits 130 through 136 in evidence.
Okay. They are admitted.
Thank you. So Doug, please pull up exhibit 133. And Buster, tell us what 133 is, please.
Yeah, so this is the back door entrance to where I was just talking about, to enter into the sunroom kitchen, into the kind of back quarters where my grandparents' bedrooms were.
All right, and if you'll pull up 134, Doug, please. And what's 134?
Same thing, same backside of the property, just a little bit of a different angle.
So the part of the house to the right of the photo, what's that? Can you see here?
Yeah, so that right there would be my grandparents' bedroom.
Okay, so that's in the evening, your grandparents would be in that part of the house, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And if you went to the garage entrance, what would happen? What would be required of your grandparents or some sitter to let you in?
Yeah, so you could go and knock, but a lot of times they're in the back part of the house and they don't hear you, so you normally call and say like, hey, I'm at the front, I need to be, let in. And they'd have to walk from the back to the front, unlock the door and let you in.
But if you're in the back, how far is the walk?
Quarter of the distance it would be to walk to the, it's very short.
And was it common to go in the back door?
Yes, sir.
And is it, and then I'm going to show you Exhibit 131. Please pull that up, Doug. So, Your Honor, can you step down off the stand and point to the jury where? So Buster, step aside so that the jury can, you're not blocking their view. I don't have a pointer, but can you point out in this photo where you would normally park? All right, yeah, point out to the jury where you normally park to go into the,
So you would park, right about here, coming right off basically the corner of the house, and this is the same stairway to go up to the back door.
so you'd park in the grass
Yes, sir.
and near that satellite dish, or not near the satellite dish?
Yeah.
Objection.
Where would you park in
Leading.
relation to the satellite dish?
Yeah, right there close to it.
All right. And that was, now, hang on, Buster, I'm sorry, come back. What's this structure right here?
That's what we call the cook shed.
And maybe and what's in the cook shed?
A couple couches, big TVs. That's mostly where my grandfather used to have a cookout on every third Thursday of a month, and that's where he would have his little gathering. It's just an open concept in there with a kitchen, TV, a couple couches.
All right. Hang on, Doug, you pull up 132 while Buster's still standing here. Buster, what's this structure to the right of as you're looking at the cookhouse?
It's an old shed.
Okay. Now, roughly, what's the distance between the cookhouse and the cook shed to where you'd normally park to go in the back door?
10, 20 yards maybe.
Okay. All right. Go ahead and take your seat, please. Buster, how often would you speak with your mom and dad on the telephone on a daily basis?
Pretty much every day.
Right. And would you be with your dad when he's talking to your mother?
Yes, sir.
I guess can you give the jury some sense of how frequently, as a family, y'all would engage in telephone conversations daily?
Yeah, it was very frequent. I mean, I spoke to my mom every day, multiple times a day, and the like for my dad and for my brother too. And that's just me. And I know it's like they're all talking to each other too. Just a lot of conversating throughout the day over the telephones within the family.
Okay. So, Doug, I'm going to pull up State's Exhibit 520, which is in evidence, and this is the Rudowski extended or extensive timeline, not the condensed version. State's 520, if you'll go to page 14, please. So, Buster, what I'd like to do, and this starts at 1:11:10 p.m. If you could blow up that first entry, Doug, and this is in evidence offered by the state. And I just want to go through some of these again. So at 1:10, this document says, Paul Murdaugh misses a phone call from Margaret Murdaugh. And then at 1:11:36, it says Maggie makes an outgoing phone call to Buster. Answered 1 minute, 22 seconds long. Do you have any independent recollection of this particular phone call?
No, sir.
Okay. But if you keep working your way down, at 1:19, Doug, there's another entry. It says, Paul Murdaugh makes an outgoing phone call to Mom. You see that? At 1:19.
Yes, sir.
And then if we'll go down to, well, so I guess let's just stop there. Is it frequent that your mother would reach out to you and Paul during the day?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And if you'll go down to 1:41, please, Doug, at 1:41:33 seconds. And you see Maggie makes an outgoing phone call to Buster. Do you see that? At 1:42, I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
And then right before that, at 1:41, it looks like Maggie makes an outgoing phone call to Alex and not answered. Do you see that?
Yes, sir.
And then if you go right below that, it says 1:42:43, Maggie makes an outgoing phone call to Paul. Now, you see that?
Yes, sir.
Was anything unusual going on this day, or is this sort of how life was in the Murdaugh family?
No, this was normal. This was the way we communicated.
Okay. And then if you'll go to page 15, Doug, at the bottom at entry 1:52:39 p.m. says Maggie Murdaugh makes outgoing phone call to Buster, answered at 1:19. So here's another call from your mother. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Not unusual, was it?
Not unusual.
All right, then page 16, at 1:55:40, if you'll take a look, blow that up, Doug. Says Maggie Murdaugh received an incoming phone call from PA Alec Murdaugh. Answered 6 minutes and 18 seconds. And that was your dad and mom apparently talking, correct?
Yes, sir.
And then right below that at 1:56:18, there's some instant messages to you about some medication. Do you remember what this might be about?
Yeah, so this was about, I take a medication called Dupixent, which is a self-given shot. And I was up in Rock Hill, and I needed to get the medicine delivered to this address here on the screen.
Okay.
And that's what we were talking about. She was, calling the pharmacy to get it redirected to that address.
Normal day, is that right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Doug, if you go to page 19 at 3:24:20 p.m. Excuse me, I'm sorry. 3:24:35. Alex Murdaugh receives an incoming phone call from Buster. 518 seconds. Sitting here today, do you remember what the phone call was about?
No, sir. I don't know specifically what it's about.
But just normal
Yeah, just,
day in the life of Buster Murdaugh,
that's right.
talking to his parents.
Yes, sir.
If you go to page 24, Doug. At 4:42:56 p.m. See, that looks like at 4:42 your mother's calling you again, right?
Yes, sir.
Anything unusual going on?
No, sir.
And then if you'll go to page 26, Doug, at 5:16:25 p.m. And there's an entry that says Alec Murdaugh calls Buster Murdaugh. Do you see that?
Yes, sir.
Looks like a 6-second call. Do you remember what that might be about?
No, 6 seconds could be a butt dial. That would happen often.
All right, and then if you go down the bottom of the page at 5:21:11, looks like there's a 92-second call, which is about 5 minutes after what might have been the butt dial. It says Alex Murdaugh receives a call, Buster, answered 92 seconds long. You see that?
Yes, sir.
So are you returning your dad's call, you think?
Probably.
Okay. And I'll just carry through. If we'll, Doug, if you'll go to page 32 at 6:52:13 p.m., please. Pull it up. Thank you. So this entry says Alec Murdaugh calls Terry Brandstetter, 412 seconds. Who's Terry Brandstetter?
Papa T.
And would your dad call your grandfather fairly regularly?
Yes, sir, he would.
So again, anything unusual going on the 7th for y'all to have all these communications?
No, sir.
And then we'll jump to page 49, Doug. And if you go to 908:58. And it says, Alec Murdaugh, iMessages Maggie Murdaugh stating, quote, going to check on M, be right back, close quote. Now, who's M?
My grandma.
And this is at 908:58. And then at 9:10:47, there's an entry that says, Alec Murdaugh calls Buster. And it says 60 seconds long. And that's at 9:10:47 p.m. on June 7th. Do you remember getting that phone call?
Yes, sir.
What did you talk about?
Objection.
What did you talk about?
Basis for the objection.
I'm just reacting to hearsay.
Pardon?
I don't want to open the door to anything else. I was reacting to hearsay.
Yes, sir.
I asked what the topic was, Your Honor.
Objection's overruled.
Yeah, don't say what your dad said. Just tell me what y'all talked about.
Yeah, well, we just talked about, like, hey, how you doing? And then he said that he was going out to...
What, hang on.
Well, if you could finish his answer.
Okay. I mean, I thought he didn't want to hear hearsay, but I'm sorry, Your Honor. Go ahead.
and he was just letting me know that he was going out to Alameda to check on them.
Okay. And was this a unusual conversation you had with him?
No, sir.
What was his demeanor in the conversation?
Normal?
Had it changed from any of the other times you talked to him earlier in the day on the 7th?
No, sir.
And would he on occasion call you when he was going to check on his mother, M?
He would, yes, sir.
Was that an unusual occurrence?
No, probably one of the more regular occurrences. We all usually would make phone calls like riding in a car. So when he was riding over, it's very common for him to call.
You take that down, Doug. So just going through this extraction from, say, 1 o'clock until what we just talked about, 9 o'clock, we did either multiple phone calls within the family. Tell the jury about the cell phone coverage at Moselle.
Not great cell phone coverage. Didn't have a lot of service, especially around. So if you were underneath the shed, at the shed, it had a metal roof. It just couldn't get any service inside of it. It was spotty around the whole property, and it had honestly gotten bad up at the house. We had just put on a new roof. Roof was metal, and just kind of hindered a lot of the phone coverage out there.
Would it be unusual for your dad to leave his phone at the house when he was going down to the shed?
No, sir. What?
That can't lead the witness.
No, sir, would not be unusual.
Okay, well, did your dad always have his phone with him when he was on the property at Moselle?
Not all the time.
Did your brother always have the phone on him when he was at the property at Moselle?
Not always on him. He would have it near him, but, you know, he's out there working on stuff and didn't always have his phone just in his hand or in his pockets or anything like that.
Did your father ever misplace his phone?
Yes, sir.
Was that a frequent occurrence?
It was.
How about your brother? Did he ever misplace his phone?
He did.
Was that frequent?
It was.
Now, there's been some testimony about Bubba.
Yes, sir.
Who's Bubba?
Bubba was our dog.
What kind of dog was Bubba?
He's a yellow lab.
And was he difficult to control?
He could be, but for the most part, no. He would listen to Dad more than anybody else. But also, we had a gun dog shot collar that we would put on him sometimes, and when he had that on, he was,
Okay.
on his P's and Q's.
Switching gears, another topic. When your dad, well, let me just put it like this. How frequently would your dad take a shower or bath?
He could take him a lot, and he, working out there, if he goes outside and sweats a lot, comes back in and takes a shower.
Was that normal routine for him?
It was.
And did he sweat a lot?
Yeah, it's hot out there in the summertime.
Was he a lot bigger then than he is today?
He was.
How big was he?
Probably 6'4", 250, 260.
Right. Alan, excuse me, Buster, were you aware that your dad had a opioid addiction?
A little bit. I knew a little bit about the usage of pills.
What did you know about it?
I knew that either my brother and mom had found them at some point, and then told them like, hey, we found these, and I want to say the 2018 around Christmas, he went to a detox facility after Christmas, and that was my knowledge of it. Thought that handled it, and then there were a couple more times after the fact where they would kind of go into this finding pills, all that stuff, and then he did a few kind of like at home, just self-detoxed a couple times, and thought once he did that get off of them, but that was kind of my general knowledge about it all.
You thought he had beat it.
That's right. Yes, sir.
And when he was confronted about his pills, what was his attitude?
I don't know for sure because I wasn't there when a lot of the confrontations happened with them finding the pills, but I mean, I've never heard anything, just, apologetic and,
Right.
Sorry, and would usually be his kind of regular, kind of response.
How did your family handle disputes, like disagreements?
Pretty, I mean, like adults, pretty civilly, talked about it and stuff like that. I mean, and it just depends on the dispute too. Like,
Right.
like I was a kid, I get spanked, stuff like that. That's not really a disagreement. That's just
Once you're a teenager and college age,
right.
any reprimand or disputes you've gotten into with your father, was it all civil?
Yeah, definitely civil.
Did your father show patience with you and your brother?
Yes, sir. He would.
Was there ever any violence in the family?
No, sir.
In February of 2019, your brother was in a boating accident, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And I believe, where were you living at the time?
Columbia.
And was he criminally charged eventually?
Yes, sir.
And what type of reaction was there to his involvement in the boating accident and his criminal charges sort of in the community in Hampton?
I would say a negative reaction in the community. The media spike kind of got going after it. There was a lot of articles in the media about, you know, our family and stuff like that.
And to your knowledge, was Paul being threatened or bullied on social media or anything like that?
Yeah, he was definitely being bullied on social media. You know, just people sending random messages, and I would talk to him. I know a lot of times he'd be walking down the sidewalk and, you know, a car comes by and they would yell some stuff at him. I knew he would go out, you know, in a bar and, you know, there's somebody that wants to talk about it and, you know, make a scuff about it, whatnot.
Right. What was your mother's reaction to all the negativity surrounding the boating accident?
It you know, it kind of consumed her. She's big on reading all of it, and when she read the negative stuff, it, you know, made her feel upset and whatnot, and it ultimately kind of caused her to distance herself from Hampton. At this time, you know, primarily living at Moselle, she quit going to the grocery stores in Hampton, quit going to the pharmacy, quit going to get food in Hampton, just thought that there was a real, you know, kind of a bad vibe in Hampton. Like you go, she
Right.
felt like people were staring at her and talking about her and stuff.
Where would she do her shopping?
She moved over to Waldoboro and started going over that way.
Right. Were you sued in the boating accident?
Yes, sir.
Objection, relevant.
No response.
With regard to relevance, Your Honor, it's civil litigation about the boating accident has been a big part of the state's case. He's a party to litigation.
Overrule the objection.
Were you sued?
Yes, sir.
Was your dad sued?
He was.
Was your mother sued?
Her estate became sued.
But before she was murdered, had she been sued?
I don't know. I can't remember.
Okay.
Maybe.
And do you know if Paul had been sued?
No, I don't know that he had been sued.
Okay. Well, was your mother anxious about the civil lawsuit?
Yes, sir.
What was her biggest concern?
I would say her biggest concern was reading articles after, you know, Mark Tinsley had made a statement about how much money he was wanting to collect in the civil lawsuits, and I think it was to the tune of like $40 million or something like that. He was trying to get, and that made her anxious.
And what was your reaction to statements like that?
Well, I mean, I knew what he was saying, but I mean, it's not, to me, it just didn't seem, you know, I didn't think, well, I don't have $40 million, so.
Right. And was your dad anxious about the lawsuit, to your knowledge?
He didn't appear to be overly anxious about it.
What took priority, the criminal case against Paul or the civil case?
The criminal case.
Right. And did the family support Paul in the criminal matter?
Yes, sir.
And what do you mean by that?
I mean, that supported him in his criminal case because, you know, amongst the family, none of us thought that he was driving the boat. We thought he'd been.
At the time of the accident?
That's correct.